So let's find out how everybody else is reporting developments from around the world. Sally's joined me for that. We're going to start with a story we spotted in the US news website Politico. They've got an article there on the Senate hearings over the ex-National Security Advisor Michael Flynn's Russian connections. The former acting Attorney General, Sally Yates, saying that she had informed the Trump administration that Flynn was susceptible to blackmail from Russia 18 days before he was fired. We'll talk more about that in a moment.
Many papers around the world, of course, have Emmanuel Macron on their front page. This is the Gulf News, and it says it leads with an article about Russia's President Putin and his message to the newly elected French president, saying the Russian president wants to work together with France on things like security and end mistrust.
And in the FT, a story about ChemChina and Sinochem potential merger next year to create the world's biggest chemicals group.
Bloomberg looks at what's coming out of OPEC, signals, as it were, Russia and the oil industry as well, giving a sense of where they feel the oil price should be headed and what they'll do in terms of keeping production cuts low beyond June.
And news from the UK, BuzzFeed's Jim Waterson has written an article about how he says the Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn will refuse to quit even if he loses the general election. That election, of course, now less than a month away.
And back to the Financial Times and a rather unusual artistic collaboration. Apparently, former US President Bill Clinton is to team up with thriller writer James Patterson on a novel called The President is Missing.
Hello, Cornelia. Thanks for joining us. Cornelia Meyer has joined as CEO of MRL Corporation,
Good morning.
business consultancy.
Good morning.
Nice
Quite a
to
few
see
people
you.
after your consultancy, looking at some of the papers today. I don't know if you can help the Trump administration. Politico, of course, one of many news organisations reporting on this latest saga that refuses to leave the Trump administration alone, doesn't it?
No, and it's very interesting because I watched the testimonial yesterday live as it was going
Sally
on.
Yates.
Yeah, with Sally Yates as it was going on.
Did you find it gripping? I mean,
I found it very gripping because I found she carried herself incredibly well, and she basically said, look, I did my job the best way I knew how. I told them they had a problem. They also talked about the ban, the Muslim immigration ban, and she said, well, you know, I basically went against it because the higher good here is the Constitution, and the Constitution says you cannot discriminate against religion or origin. So she did the best. What I find a bit disconcerting is that when you then look at the reaction from the Trump administration, they said, oh, you know, he had just been cleared, the Mike Flynn had just been cleared by the Obama administration for more security, and so they went on that. So it's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault, and that I find a bit disconcerting.
That was in reaction to President Obama revealing that he actually warned President Trump just 2 days after he was
exactly,
elected as
and in
President-elect,
reaction also to this during the testimonial, the Republican senators kept on hammering on this, and you know, if you're a leader, sometimes you just have to say, "Gee, I got this wrong."
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to own up to your face.
There is a blame game.
And you have to. But a good leader doesn't play the game. He fesses up to his, you know. Erring is human. It can happen to
Just
everybody.
give insight
Does
into the
President
Trump administration.
Putin ever fess up? He's the common thread between that story and this story,
No.
this angle on Macron's becoming president-elect in France. Putin to Macron, let's end the mistrust.
Well, you know, President Putin doesn't need to fess up. He doesn't have the same democratic scrutiny as you have in the United States. But yes, he's right. Putin is right to say, let's end the mistrust. It's a bit rich, as they had this hacking story of the Macron leaks, the sort of WikiLeaks-style Macron leaks, which people in the know say might have come from Russia. But I think he's right, because they have, yes, he has supported Le Pen, but he has said the French people have spoken. That has to be respected. And the other thing is they do have shared security concerns, because these terrorism concerns are not just in France, they're also in Russia. So yes, there's plenty that they can work together on, and I think that's the right thing to do.
They both have to work on.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Marine Le Pen visited President Putin, didn't she? And there were denies that it was not the first visit. visit. There was revelations that there was other visits before that, and he was forced to admit that, or to state that they do not interfere in any elections, America or France. So
no, I mean,
we don't know what Putin's thinking really is, do we?
No, look, but I think his thinking is genuine, saying, look, there's things we have to work together on, and that's pragmatic. And if you're a leader, you've got to be pragmatic.
Now, I knew you'd love this story, Cornelia. I picked this one out for you. Front page of the Financial Times. Chem China and Sinochem plan plan to become a $100 billion market leader. Just tell us why this is important. It's rumours, it's widely reported, it's not confirmed yet. It's not confirmed yet. There were rumours before. As you know, Chem China has just got the approval of the shareholders of Syngenta, which is a big agrichem business, Swiss agrichem business, to buy them. And that's a big deal because it gives Chem China access to that agri technology, and it gives China as a country access. Now, Chem China is has done a lot of acquisitions and is a highly levered company. Their debt-to-equity ratio is 260%. Whereas Sinochem has more debt capacity, it's 126%. But just explain why this is important to all of us, in the sense that it could become the world's biggest chemicals company, in terms of the assets it has, the power, the control of agriculture, that kind of thing. Well, it especially is when it has assets, it has control, but I think it becomes especially important because they now got access to that Syngenta, so top flight technology on agriculture.
So just to be clear, this is China taking over an awful lot of big companies that provide food, that provide pharmaceuticals, that provide chemicals. I mean, this is a kind of global takeover.
Well, this is the Chem China Sinochem thing is a Chinese merger of two Chinese companies. It's a mainland China story. It's a mainland China story. What makes it international is that Chem China just bought Syngenta. It's just in the business of buying Syngenta. And the interesting thing is, I actually had to comment on it on Swiss radio recently. Chem China gave Syngenta huge powers in terms of nominating board members, and I'm not sure that when the ownership structure of Chem China changes, that those assurances will hold true. Now, really quickly, lots of, I could call them smoke signals coming out of OPEC yesterday, and also Russia as well. Presumably they're going to keep production cuts in place beyond June. That boosted the oil price a bit yesterday. Yes, absolutely, and they're probably going to keep them going. I mean, it's the Saudi oil minister or energy minister said just as much. Now, the thing there is that when you look at the oil markets, they will come, with or without cuts, they will come back into balance in the second half of this year. What does that mean for the price? That means for the price that it will probably teeter and stabilize around where it is, between 50 and 55. But sort of in the 20s, it will probably go up, because once it's in balance, once it's eaten itself out of the through the historically high stockpiles, then a lot of companies, because of the low price, had less investment in upstream, in exploration and production, so they will be able to produce less, and that will be a light switch. It's not a light switch, so in the 20s, watch out, the price will probably go up. In the meantime, it will probably stay around where it is. Okay. All right, we'll hold you to those predictions, Cornelia. Please do.
Not sure how this made the front page of the Financial Times. Bill Clinton teaming up with James Patterson, fantastic writer, to pen what's described as a unique White House thriller. It's all in the title. The president is missing.
It's wonderful. Well, I wish them luck. But I think the story here really is about the enormous sums that former presidents and prime ministers...
That's why it's on the front page.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, you know, like the Obamas got, I think, 65 million for the joint book deal, one hers, one him. So
it's in the title. It's slightly. It's not a
well, he probably will sell more. If it's a thriller, he'll sell more. Patterson always makes it on the New York Times bestseller list. So he stands to have great gains, but with Bill Clinton, he always gives back. I mean, he has a foundation. He does give back.
Yeah, and he's written fiction before, and it's brilliant, actually.
Has
he's
he?
a really good writer. Yeah. He's written, not a novel, but he's written some fiction before.
Is he a good writer?
Really good writer, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I actually read one of them without realising it was Bill Clinton. It's very good.
Things you knew.
I know.
Thanks, Cornelia.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you too. Have a really, really good day. If you're with BBC One, breakfast will join you in 5 minutes. If you're on BBC World, you're stuck with us.